everybody. My name is Doug Gerard, and I'm Chancellor here at the University of Kansas, and it's my pleasure to join you for this year's virtual University Research Awards program. To all the students, the faculty, and staff watching this ceremony online, thank you for joining us to recognize the winners of our top research awards. And to the award recipients here today, congratulations on your awards and your scholarly achievements, and thank you for all your contributions to KU and to our society. You know, for years, we have presented the various research awards throughout the year and recognized our winners in separate announcements and separate ceremonies, which is always a lot of fun to recognize them. But last year, we decided to really enhance the way that we celebrate our research award winners by convening all of them at the same time for a red carpet event at the Birch Union and really inviting the entire university to join in this celebration of KU research. And unfortunately, that event was postponed due to the COVID pandemic, and we still aren't able to quite gather again this spring in that same way. So we're gathering today online for a virtual recognition event, but I want to assure you that absolutely we will have that red carpet event at the Birch Union next year and every year thereafter, because certainly our top researchers deserve that recognition. And the reality is that our top researchers are, in fact, the rock stars of our scholarly community. And they're our role models for both colleagues and our students, and they embody our mission. And frankly, they are really what sets us apart as a flagship research university and a proud member of the AAU. And as one of the nation's leading public research universities, KU has a special role in fostering a culture of research that addresses society's grand challenges. In addition to educating leaders and building healthy communities, we're responsible for the discoveries and innovations that improve lives, that create jobs and prosperity, and help us better understand our world. And that responsibility is primarily borne by our talented faculty who seek out that knowledge and then share it. And KU certainly has a legacy of fulfilling that responsibility across the spectrum of academic disciplines, but we certainly can't rest on our past successes. And I know I can speak for Provost Bickelmeyer, for EVC Samari, and for Vice Chancellors Atkinson and Salathe when I say that this is an important moment for KU and that we need to double down and re-intensify our commitment to research and to prioritize our top researchers in everything that we do. And so I'm certainly looking forward to work with the entire community to achieve this goal. To the research award winners here today, you have advanced your field of scholarship, exhibited originality, promoted scholarly activity, and enhanced the university's reputation. And most importantly, you've improved our society and our world. And for that, you should be commended. And we thank you and we celebrate you. Congratulations. Thank you, and rock chalk.
Thank you, Chancellor. I'm Simon Atkinson, Vice Chancellor for Research at the University of Kansas, and I want to echo the Chancellor's congratulations to all our award winners. It's unfortunate that we can't be together in person for the award ceremony today, but I want to give a shout out to all the friends and family who will be watching this video and join with them in congratulating you on your achievements. We'll now go through an introduction of our award recipients before we have a chance to hear from them later in the program. As the Chancellor mentioned, last year's event had to be cancelled because of the pandemic. So we'll recognize last year's award recipients first, the 2020 recipients, before we move on to the recipients of the 2021 awards. So first is Tom Hill, who won the KU Research Postdoctoral Achievement Award in 2020. Tom was a postdoc in the Department of Molecular Biosciences. Jay Chen, who is a psychometrician with the Achievement and Assessment Institute, won the KU Staff Achievement Award. Dale Walker, a research professor and senior scientist at the Juniper Gardens Children's Project of the Lifespan Institute, won the Stephen F. Warren Research Achievement Award. Sarah Kessler, associate professor in the Department of Family Medicine and Community Health at the University of Kansas Medical Center, won a University Scholarly Achievement Award. Stuart MacDonald, professor in the Department of Molecular Biosciences, won a University Scholarly Achievement Award. Laura Milkey, Dean's Professor in the Department of English, is another University Scholarly Achievement Award recipient. Kerry Sjogren, Professor of Special Education, Senior Scientist and Director of the Kansas University Center on Developmental Disabilities at the Lifespan Institute, is another University Scholarly Achievement Award winner. Perry Alexander, the AT&T Foundation Distinguished Professor of Electrical Engineering, Computer Science, and Director of ITTC, is a winner of the Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award. And James Edgar, University Distinguished Professor and Chair of the Department of Chemical Engineering at Kansas State University, is a Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award winner. Donald Hyder Markle, Professor and Chair in the Department of Political Science at the University of Kansas, is yet another Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award winner. And Andrew Godwin, Professor and Division Director of Genomic Diagnostics in the Department of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine, Deputy Director of the KU Cancer Center, again wins a KU Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award. So that completes our 2020 award winners, and congratulations to all of you. We'll now go on to recognize our 2021 honorees. Anna Wallish, postdoctoral researcher at the Juniper Gardens Children Project of the Lifespan Institute, is the KU Research Postdoctoral Achievement Award winner. Shelley Breeden Oj, associate researcher in the Fragile X Research Lab at the Lifespan Institute, is the winner of the KU Research Staff Achievement Award. Maggie Wietek, Research Associate Professor in the Department of Chemistry, Team Leader at the Center of Biomodular Multiscale Systems for Precision Medicine, is a winner of the Stephen F. Warren Research Achievement Award. Kelsey Forbush, Associate Professor in the Department of Psychology, is a winner of the University Scholarly Achievement Award. Casey Kong, a Professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy, is a winner of a University Scholarly Achievement Award. Nicole Nolan, Professor in the Department of Population Health at the University of Kansas Medical Center, is a winner of a University Scholarly Achievement Award. Peter Ojiambo, Associate Professor in the Department of African and African American Studies, is a winner of a University Scholarly Achievement Award. Sharon Billings, Dean's Professor of Ecology and Evolutionary Biology and Senior Scientist in the Kansas Biological Survey, is a winner of a Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award. Michael Hoflich, John H. and John M. Kane Distinguished Professor in the School of Law, is a winner of the Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award. Kelly Kinsher, Professor of Environmental Studies Program and Senior Scientist in the Kansas Biological Survey, is a winner of the Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Award. Jürgen Richt, Regents Distinguished Professor and University Distinguished Professor in the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, is a winner of the Higuchi-KU Endowment Research Achievement Awards. Congratulations to all our 2021 winners. We're really proud of your achievements. Now I'd like to ask all our award winners to please turn on your cameras. And we will now go through the award winners in alphabetical order.
First up is Perry Alexander.
Hello, and thank you for this wonderful award. I'm very pleased to receive it. My work involves using mathematical techniques to verify critical aspects of computing systems. I focus primarily on systems whose performance impacts security or human well-being. I treat programs and hardware systems like mathematical objects rather than like computing objects, and use automated tools to try to predict their behavior. Be it good or bad, it's an exciting time to be in computing and security. I really enjoy the opportunity to pursue my intellectual interests while solving important societal problems, and also truly enjoy educating next generation computer scientists.
Thank you, Perry. Can we now hear from Sharon Billings?
Thank you so much. It's quite an honor to receive this award, and I have many thanks to give around the world and here at KU especially. So in my lab, we're trying to understand the fundamental rules that constrain how life on our planet both responds to and shapes climate. So there's some great feedbacks there. And to do that, we examine how trees and grasses all over the world grow as environmental conditions change, and how they allocate the carbon they photosynthesize above ground, below ground to roots, and how those patterns keep carbon out of the atmosphere and actually help form the physical structure of soil, and thus how water and nutrients flow through it. So we spend a lot of time quantifying how humans are changing these patterns and thus altering life signals deep within soils in ways that are really important for ecosystem function. And what inspires me is that it is these processes that dictate how systems on land are responding to human-induced climate change, and actually can help mitigate it or exacerbate it by governing concentrations of greenhouse gases.
Thank you, Sharon. Congratulations. Next, can we hear from Ji Chen?
Good morning, everyone. It's a sincere honor to be recognized. Many thanks to the selection committee, my nominators, and colleagues for supporting me. Inspired by delivering the best possible education to children and developing assessments that are valid, reliable, fair, and engaging, my research focuses on improving the quality of measurement instruments. For example, one project I'm currently working on is to assess the psychometric properties of a classroom observation tool that measures the quality of learning environment in Montessori classrooms. The purpose is to provide recommendations that may strengthen the quantitative elements of the tool and help establish benchmarks for using similar tools for possible high-stakes purposes. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share some of my research.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from James Edgar. James.
Thank you, everyone. My research is on the synthesis and characterization of semiconductor crystals, the materials that make possible light-emitting diodes and transistors that were found in cell phones and computers. My goal is ostensibly very simple: to grow high-quality novel semiconductor crystals with low residual impurity concentrations. From these high-quality crystals, we are determining the semiconductor's most basic properties and ways to manipulate those properties to enable new types of electronic and optoelectronic devices. The crystals my group are now developing will one day lead to faster electronics that carry more information and chemical and biological sensors for environmental monitoring and medical diagnostics. I thank the selection committee for this recognition of me and all my students who are my inspiration and who have shared my enthusiasm for our research and who made my job exciting.
Thank you, James. Congratulations. Next up, we have Kelsey Forbush.
Hello. In 1997, ballet dancer Heidi Gunther died from an eating disorder at the age of 22. Despite common stereotypes of what people with eating disorders look like, Heidi was at a healthy weight at the time of her death. She died from abusing laxatives, which caused her heart to stop beating while she was traveling with her family on her way to Disney World. At the time of her death, I was attending a prestigious ballet school and was really shocked to learn that somebody so young and seemingly healthy could die from an eating disorder. This inspired me along a lifelong path to learn more about eating disorders. What I know now is that eating disorders affect 13 to 15% of young women and 3% of young men, and are one of the leading causes of death and disability in children. Eating disorders affect people of all ethnicities, socioeconomic levels, and really occur across the lifespan. Eating disorders are associated with the highest mortality rate of any mental illness, with standardized mortality ratios that are 2 times higher than mortality due to heavy smoking. But despite the severity of eating disorders, there are very few well-validated assessments and no reliable predictors of prognosis. So my work at the University of Kansas is designed to address these issues. So for example, we have developed empirically based classification systems that are 6 times more predictive of important clinical outcomes, such as likelihood of recovery, compared to the traditional diagnostic system. Even more important, the assessments that we've developed at the University of Kansas are now being used at over 30 treatment centers across the USA and are listed by the National Institute of Health as recommended measures to assess eating disorders. Ultimately, I hope my work will impact society by helping providers better identify people with eating disorders that may otherwise go undetected and help improve the prediction of prognosis so that patients can get the right treatment at the right time and at the right intensity so that families like Heidi's do not have to lose another loved one to this terrible disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Next up, we have Andrew Godwin.
Well, I'd like to thank the Higuchi Selection Committee for their roles in bestowing this wonderful honor. I have dedicated my research career to improving the care of patients diagnosed with cancer. Although I'm a basic scientist by training, my studies have always focused on bridging the gaps between basic and clinical science with the goal of improving the quality of life for others. My research is not focused on one disease nor one biological pathway, but is anchored in the field of translational research and precision cancer medicine, terms that were coined well after I started my independent research career in 1993. Our studies are focused on understanding the root causes of cancer to better identify individually tailored treatments. I am honored to share this award with many people who have shaped my life. I'm extremely pleased to share this recognition with my family. I grew up in a very supportive environment with my brother Greg, sister Amy, and parents Phoebe and Philip Godwin, who valued an education and instilled honesty, integrity, and a strong work ethic. I'm especially thankful for my wife, Cecilia, and my daughter, Erin. Cecilia's been at my side since junior high in Lawrence. And finally, I'd also like to thank Dr. Fan, my past department chair, for nominating me for this wonderful award, and would like to thank my many current and past trainees and my many, many mentors and collaborators over the years, too many to acknowledge individually, but who helped shape and advance my research career. Again, my grateful appreciation for this wonderful honor that I share with so many people in my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Next, we have Michael Hofflick.
Thank you. When I started a graduate study at Cambridge in 1973, it was increasingly brought down upon me that the law was a boring, anti-intellectual, money-grubbing profession. I thought, gosh, do I really want to spend my life in a boring, anti-intellectual, money-grubbing profession? So I decided to prove that it wasn't. And so I've spent the last 40 some years basically looking at the ways in which the law and lawyers have been influenced by the intellectual movements that surrounded them. So I've looked at the influence of religious literature, and particularly but the Old Testament and the New Testament, on the development of law. I've looked extensively at the interchange of legal ideas between the common law and the civil law, particularly in Germany. I've looked at the influence of moral philosophy on the development of legal ethics. I hope after 40 some years of writing, I've convinced some people that we're not all anti-intellectual, boring, and money-grubbing folks, but actually have an intellectual context within which we work. And that has made law a far better thing. And I thank the committee for giving me this award and the opportunity to continue to foster my work. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Sarah Kessler.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm humbled and honored to receive this award and just share with you. In the past decade, I've had the opportunity to work in Kenya, focusing on maternal and pediatric HIV prevention and treatment. And I've worked with an amazing team of colleagues, clinical and basic science researchers there, to try to design interventions that leverage the available technology to help connect with sort of M-Health type of interventions, connecting providers at the health facility, the central laboratories where diagnostics are run, and then communicating those results effectively and efficiently to families, so to pregnant women, to help for, improve their own care and that of their children. And it's been a really rewarding and adventure over the years, but I think really enjoying this sort of human-centered design approach of engaging patients, engaging providers, to design the type of interventions that are feasible to use and that will have an impact. So thank you very much on behalf of our team.
Thank you, Sarah. Next, we have Kelly Kinser.
I too am honored to be a recipient of this award. As a botanist and ecologist, I have had the opportunity to work extensively with students and staff across Kansas. My work has been varied as I have been inspired by the significant diversity, geography, and beauty of the flora of the region. I have inventoried the vegetation of wetlands near Lawrence, the Cherokee Lowlands, Cheyenne Bottoms, and Playa Lakes in the far southwest Kansas of the Cimarron National Grasslands. I have studied range condition and ownership of land in the Flint Hills and mapped the vegetation of the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve near Strong City, Kansas. I provided land management advice to staff at Fort Riley, Fort Leavenworth, the Smoky Hill Air National Guard lands, and mapped the vegetation of Fort Larned. I've been involved in difficult remediation efforts of eroded lands from salt brine ponds created by oil fields for the Kansas Corporation Commission, and developed a vegetation index for calculating damage to lands in Cherokee County, Kansas for the Department of Justice, leading to settlement claims for the state of Kansas. And finally, I've been involved in prairie restoration projects in Douglas and Johnson County, along with the KU lands out at our field station. All of this has allowed for me to delight in the beauty and diversity of Kansas lands. And for this, I am doubly honored with this award. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Next up, we have Casey Kong.
Hello, everyone. My name is Casey Kong in physics and astronomy. My research field is theoretical particle physics. And the most exciting questions that we want to answer are what is the universe made of and how does the universe work? Everything we see around us is made of the atoms, protons, and neutrons, electrons, and quarks. However, they only comprises only about the 4% of the mass and energy of our universe. The remaining 96% are mysterious form of matter called dark matter, and even more perplexing entity called dark energy. My research focuses on how to discover dark matter particles, how to create them in the controlled environment, and how to study their properties. And I'm very happy to see that when a student gets excited whenever I bring my research into the classroom. And for our research and teaching to be most successful, institutional support is crucial. And I'm looking forward to continued support from KU. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Congratulations. Next, we have Stuart McDonald.
Thank you very much for this award. It's a huge honor for me and also for my lab and my group. My research program is motivated by one principal question: why are individuals different from one another? We know that differences in our genome affect how we behave and change our risk for disease. But characterize these differences directly in human populations can be practically and often ethically challenging. So my lab uses fruit flies to decipher how variation is determined in the genome. This is a really genetically tractable model system, and we've used it to identify many genes that determine how flies respond to toxins, including heavy metals like lead and cadmium. And by leveraging the fact that humans and fruit flies share a really large amount of their cellular machinery, my lab is strengthening our understanding of how humans are impacted by toxic environmental pollutants.
Thank you, Stuart. Next up, we have Donald Hayter-Markle.
I'm honored to receive a Higuchi Award. I want to thank the awards committee, Julie, Simon, and Chancellor Gerard. I find human groupings fascinating. They bring us together, but they also divide us. As such, my research focuses on group phenomena in American politics and policymaking including how groups structure our thinking about political issues and influence the policymaking process. My goal is to inform our knowledge of group phenomena so we can enhance our understanding and empathy in order to reduce division in our politics. Thanks for the support of my colleagues, my co-authors, and my family, Michelle and Josiah.
Thank you and congratulations. Next, we have Laura Milkey.
Thank you for this honor for a Scholarly Achievement Award. I want to thank the entire KU community for the support it's given my research. I'm a literary historian who focuses on the intersection of politics, literature, and performance in 19th century America, especially the years leading up to Civil War. I research the role of plays, speeches, novels, poetry, and essays in the justification of and the resistance to colonial violence and chattel slavery. My scholarly writings tell new stories of how literature has been essential to the social history of what we call the United States. I'm inspired by the generations of artists who crafted moving affirmations of human equality. I'm inspired by my students who teach me new ways of reading. And I'm inspired by my English studies colleagues who tirelessly affirm the centrality of reading and writing to the pursuit of a just world. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next, we'll hear from Nicole Nolan.
Thank you to the selection committee. I'm humbled and honored to be receiving this award. I'm inspired by the populations that I serve. I come to work every day because tobacco remains the leading cause of preventable disease and death in the United States. While quitting smoking is one of the most important things that a smoker can do to improve their overall health, and any of the 7 FDA-approved medications substantially increase the odds of quitting, these medications are not as effective for racial and ethnic minorities. My research is focused on improving tobacco dependence treatment outcomes for African American smokers by exploring promising pharmacotherapy and behavioral interventions and naming racism, not race, as a determinant of tobacco-related health. Our research team has found that menthol cigarettes, differences in nicotine metabolism, and social factors like poverty, neighborhood disadvantage, and stress explain why African American smokers have a harder time quitting. By elucidating mechanisms that help to explain racial differences in smoking, we are moving the field away from a generic focus on race and toward a targeted focus on modifiable barriers and facilitators that, when addressed, can narrow the gap in racial disparities in health. None of this work would have been possible without the help of many. I'd like to acknowledge my co-investigators, project staff, and most importantly, Swope Health Central and their patients who make the research possible.
Thank you, Nikki. Next, we have Shelley reading OJ.
Thank you. I work in the Fragile X Research Lab under the directions of Dr. Nancy Brady and Dr. Steve Warren. And Fragile X syndrome is an X chromosome linked disorder. It is the most common inherited cause of intellectual disability and the most common genetic cause of autism. We are conducting a longitudinal study of children with Fragile X syndrome and their mothers who are either have the pre-mutation or the full mutation themselves. And the study began when the children were about 2.5 years old, and they are now in their late teens and early 20s. So this is a very long longitudinal study that we have been doing. Initially, the study was focused on the impact of parenting on children's development of language and adaptive skills. And while that focus continues, we have expanded our research questions to consider broader outcomes for these young adults, including vocational outcomes, their living arrangements, and social connections that they may have. And what we really want to know is what happens to these young adults once they leave high school. We are also focusing more on the mothers as well, and what the pre-mutation carrier status has on their health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Next, we'll hear from Peter Ojiambo.
Good morning to everyone who has gathered here for this special occasion. First and foremost, I would like to express my appreciation to the University of Kansas Chancellor Girard and the University Scholarly Achievement Committee for nominating me for this award. Secondly, I would like to thank the following for putting my name forward for the award: Dr. Sean Alexander, the Chair of African American Studies Department, Elizabeth McGonigal, Director, Kansas African Studies, and Hussein Ali Dao, University of Rutgers, and lastly, my colleagues, students, friends, and family, without whose enormous support over the years, this would not have been possible. This indeed has been a collective effort and labor of many. My research focuses on African education and specifically African-centered education biographies, their role in Africa's societal change process in both colonial and post-colonial period. This is an area that has limited scholarship and is still evolving despite the growing field of general biographies and autobiographies on the African continent. My work interrogates the pathways that African-centered educational biographies provide to the understanding of Africa's complex dialectical, social, cultural, political, economic contexts in different time periods and pushes us to examine the role of education in shaping the process. It investigates the African agency and the contribution of individual African educators to the development and growth of African education in both colonial and post-colonial period, the educational thoughts on the various forces that have shaped African education, the philosophy, theory, purpose, and practice that is supposed to guide and shape African education, the innovative leadership styles, and education policy implementation, review position, and strategies. Additionally, it examines the insights on the challenges, remedies, and future prospects of African education. Overall, my research work makes us re-examine the role of African education in addressing its local, national, international demands, and its relevance to the global world. My research and inquiry over the decades has been inspired by the maxim or saying that notes what you want in a society, you must put in a school, and the notion that human history is a race between education and catastrophe, and education is the mainspring of all national action and survival. Unless it is right and purposeful, the people and the nation either crawl or limp along. It is this frame of educational philosophical thought that has made me examine various transformative African educational leaders that are making a difference in the field of education to ensure it can construct society. It has been and continues to be a fascinating scholarly journey for me. Again, thank you for the award. I'm greatly humbled by the honor. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Peter. Congratulations. Next, let's hear from Jürgen Richt.
Good morning. Thank you very much for this award. I'm very honored to receive it. My research mainly concentrates on the development of vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics against emerging and zoonotic pathogens. In the past year, of course, this has involved a substantial emphasis on SARS-CoV-2. My lab devoted substantial attention to the development of preclinical animal models for COVID-19, mainly in hamsters and ferrets, to evaluate the efficacy of vaccines and therapeutics. At the same time, we continue to spend significant time and efforts to combating other emerging and zoonotic threats to the food and agricultural industries. Our research has helped to advance progress in the fight against African swine fever, presently the most significant threat to the swine industry worldwide. We are also working on the development of vaccines and diagnostics against animal influenzas and Rift Valley fever, two rather important zoonotic diseases that threaten both animals and humans. Finally, I would like to acknowledge Kansas State University, my colleagues, my students, and collaborators, all of those who significantly contributed to my research successes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from Carrie Sjogren.
Hello, thank you for the recognition of the impact of the work of my research group. My line of work focuses on how we support adolescents and young adults with and without disabilities to self-determine their own lives. In partnership with the disability community and my team at the Kansas University Center on Developmental Disabilities, we focus on breaking down the barriers that have all too often resulted in the marginalization and exclusion of people with disabilities, rather than equity of opportunity and inclusion. I've led efforts to establish evidence-based assessment and instructional models that are being implemented by teachers and other supporters in inclusive school and community settings across the world to really focus on empowering people with disabilities to self-determine the process of identifying and going after goals for their learning and their futures. Our research has been instrumental in establishing that when young people with disabilities are supported in ways that promote self-determination, they achieve more positive outcomes. I'm privileged to have the opportunity to work in partnership with the disability community to continue to advance self-determination in research, policy, and practice throughout the world.
Thank you, Carrie. Congratulations. Next, let's hear from Dale Walker.
Hello, everybody. I'm honored as well to receive the Stephen F. Warren Award for Research Achievement. As much of my research has been informed by Dr. Warren's pivotal research on pre-linguistic language interventions, and I extend my appreciation to my colleagues at the Juniper Gardens Children's Project for this nomination and to the selection committee. Decades of research have shown that infants and toddlers and young children are most likely to reach their developmental potential if they regularly experience supportive and stimulating interactions with responsive adults in natural settings. Through community-based translational research, along with my colleagues, I develop and test interventions to build the capacity of parents, educators, and early interventionists to provide children with experiences that accelerate their learning and improve outcomes related to success in school and beyond. I look forward to scaling up these interventions to increase the language learning opportunities that children have, especially those experiencing poverty and socioeconomic disadvantage. Thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you, Dale. Next, we'll hear from Anna Wallish.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful for this award, and I really think that this award is reflective of the fantastic mentorship that I've had at KU and Juniper Gardens Children's Project. And I want to especially provide a big thanks to my wonderful mentor, Dr. Brian Boyd. My research focuses on the eating behaviors of young children with autism, because we know that these eating behaviors can persist into adulthood and can lead to later negative health consequences. I became interested in this research because of parents, and we know that challenging eating behaviors in autism are associated with significant parent stress. Parents would also ask me questions about how to best support their child in eating, and I didn't have great answers for them. So my research is aimed at first understanding these eating behaviors in autism so that we can begin to give families better answers to their questions and ultimately begin to prevent some of those negative health consequences. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And last, we'll hear from Maggie Vitek.
Thank you. I want to sincerely thank for the nomination and recognition of my work, and I want to extend my congratulations to all of you for your distinguished awards. I happen to work with a lot of dedicated people in the Department of Chemistry, Center of Biomodular Multi-Scale Systems for Precision Medicine, and Kansas Institute for Precision Medicine, to whom I extend my gratitude and for their support. I work on designing and building miniaturized microfluidic tools that can identify differences in human diseases. And those signatures can be detected on the molecular and cellular levels. These characteristics, for example, if you look cancer cells DNA, can shed light how the patient can be treated when stricken with that very disease. Such concept of testing of individuals is known as precision medicine. So it makes me proud, and it's really source of inspiration that my work as an analytical chemist and bioengineer contributes to this change in paradigm where precision medicine will change one day how we view and how physicians practice medicine and navigate patients' treatment. There are very many people I owe gratitude, but I want to especially thank and express my sincere gratitude to my mentor, Professor Stephen Salper, for, of course, numerous learning opportunities, support, but mostly for creating a vision that our research can actually help solve those challenges related to human health. And I want to sincerely thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Maggie. And I want to congratulate all our award winners once again. It's really remarkable how many of the major challenges facing the world are being addressed right here in Kansas by some of the world's most distinguished scholars. So congratulations to all of you. And I want to echo the thanks to all the mentors, colleagues, family and friends who've supported our award winners in their work. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chancellor Girard for some closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Simon, and congratulations to you all. I think one of the most joyful parts of this is just hearing the spectrum of the research that is happening across our state and at our institution, from humanities to human health to the origins of the universe to security. It's really quite remarkable. And certainly, I think, would make all your colleagues very proud to see the work that you're doing and the impact that it's having in our society. So thank you for all that you do. And I would have one request, which is that you all please hold up your award, if you could. And let us congratulate you one more time. Very well done. And please keep up the great work. We all need it. Much appreciated in Rock Chalk.